Welcome to the Multifamily Marketers Podcast. I'm Josh Grillo, co-founder here at Resident 360 and your host. And I'm also joined by my Director of Digital Marketing at Resident 360 and my co-host, Caroline Mills. Caroline, you're looking very purple today.
Thank you. Yeah, I got my sweaters on, trying to stay warm out here.
I swear, every episode we record, you always say that you are like freezing in your house and it's freezing outside. Time for a move.
I know. We've actually been like debating. I'm like, I need to be somewhere warm. Because every time I get on with you, I'm like, I hear the 70s and 80s, and I'm like, that's where I need to be.
That's why we live here, San Diego all the way. All right, we have a good topic. This is piggybacking on our last episode of property website audits and how important it is to audit your property website. Hint, hint, if you haven't done that yet, make sure you listen to that episode. But this one is all about GA4 and website analytics for property websites, right? So this is all about the analytics. What is your website telling you? And I think we'll be able to hopefully make this very non-techy.
Yeah.
You hear me, Caroline? Don't start with a whole bunch of technical speak because we will not understand, all right? So you want to keep it very in layman's terms for us out here. Okay, so let's jump right into it. In plain English, Caroline, plain English, what should a multifamily team actually care about in GA4? And what is GA4 for the people out there listening?
Yeah, GA4 is the new Google Analytics platform. You may have heard to it as Universal Analytics or just straight Google Analytics before, but it is basically, what is happening on your site, collects all the data, tells you what's happening, what's being clicked, where it comes from. So this is where it's really important to know what to click in your system. I would say as far as the things that really matter for us in the multifamily world, it's going to be just like we talked about last week in our website, tracking and website audit is you want like your total sessions, how many people are coming on the website, what pages are they viewing, and then like, are your conversions happening? I would say those are your top three. Those are going to be the things you're caring about of, am I getting people there? What are they looking at? And are they able to convert?
Right. Very good. So let's jump right into the basics. So why do people feel lost in GA4 compared to the old analytics?
Yeah, this was a hot topic when that update released and they switched us over in July. This thing was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. It became less of a reporting tool and more of an event-based system. What that means is it used to tell you what was important when you logged in, but now it gives you a lot more data and it lets you decide what's important. It's nice from the end of if you really like data and reporting. It can be a little not so nice if it just seems confusing and overwhelming because that is how it happens to a lot of people. So they really didn't teach much on it. They got new reports, new terminology. There's not really a clear conversion screen anymore like there used to be. So it can feel overwhelming fast to people. There are training modules and courses out there, but we're going to kind of break down like what are the few things you can look at in there that matter to most in the multifamily world.
So what's the biggest mistakes teams make right now when looking at website data, would you say, for property?
I would say first looking at traffic instead of actions. So it's like, oh, yay, we saw, 400 new page views or, this is working, which is great if it is. But then not looking at, did they actually apply? Did they actually do our key events, which are conversions? Did they actually do the things when they got to the website? So yay, we got them there. But like, are they able to stay and do what we want them to do?
So what are the top three, let's call it vanity metrics that really don't matter?
I'd say the ones that really don't matter is your total sessions without context, your page views per session, and I would say having like an obsession with bounce rate, engagement rate. It's not that it doesn't matter, but I think a marketer could get stuck on that, and that's not really helping us leasing velocity. That's more like technical web issues there. So important to address if you kind of know the metrics, but definitely not one of our top ones we should be worried about as marketers if we're getting a quick dive in there.
All right, so let's talk about the only things we really should be tracking. So if you could track only 5 actions on a property website, what are they?
I would do number 1, click to call. We've got number 2, contact forms. 3 being schedule a tour clicks. Most oftentimes, schedule a tour and contact are going to be different things on somebody's website. Number 4, apply now clicks. How many people are actually taking that interest to do that. And then number 5, anything that's like a text or a chat engagement. We talked about chat bots in the last episode, but I would track that as its own conversion as well. So your top 5 really being the things of people taking action and interest on your website. If it doesn't move someone closer to leasing, honestly, it's going to be secondary in our world of what we're worried about.
Well, what would be the number one conversion a property website should optimize for?
As a marketer, you should be worried about schedule a tour. I think that's often something that we talk about with our teams all the time is getting them qualified leads and making sure that they're taking those actions. So, I can send you 600, leads, but are they actually interested in clicking schedule a tour? From a marketing perspective, if I'm able to get them to your site and get them scheduling tours with you, great. I've made it easier on your leasing team. Now all your leasing team has to do is when they show up, close on them and get that tour from them.
So what's a quick weekly GA4 check-in you recommend for teams?
I would say roughly once a week to every other week, is how many calls, tours, and applications did we get? Sometimes depending on our leasing weeks, those can carry over week to week. 2, what traffic sources drove those actions? You can absolutely, if you haven't gotten familiar with GA4, you can absolutely see exactly where they're coming from. You can see, what ILSs they routed to your website. You can see, what paid spend they came from. You can see all of those things. And number 3, did anything drop suddenly or something's unexpected? Did something spike? Is there something out of the norm there? You'll recognize it quickly if a website goes down, if something crashes, something breaks. We had that big server a few months ago that went down, that, crashed everybody's, metrics there for 24 hours when that went down. So anything like that you may not be aware of, that's it. I would take no more than 10 minutes really, unless there's some kind of special report you need. But if you're just trying to dive in there quickly, that's what I would be looking for.
Now, let's move into floor plans and tour scheduling. Where do prospects usually drop off? Homepage, floor plans, or tour scheduling?
Good one. And question I get a lot, actually. Floor plans, by far. That is the one that we can definitely see people dropping or bouncing from. That is really where people decide if the apartment is actually going to work for their life. And most floor plan pages don't. That's what helps them decide confidently what they're going to move forward with. So really, back to our last episode, making sure it's accurate and up to date, because this is where they'll jump off if it's not. So they're deciding, does the floor plan work for me? Is the pricing within my budget? Those are the 2 main factors. They're not going to come tour if neither of those things work for them. So that is definitely the page we see the most.
And how do you tell if a tour schedule is hurting conversions?
I would say if you're tracking the clicks on it versus the amount of tours completed. I would hope somebody's not just sitting on your website clicking schedule a tour over and over and over again for no reason. But we can see that, if we have issues tracking a schedule a tour completion, meaning when somebody finishes and hits the schedule tour, submit, whatever button that is, sometimes we may have to track the button of somebody clicking schedule a tour. So we can see that. And that takes a lot of communication with the on-site team of us being able to say, hey, we see that 100 people clicked schedule a tour in the last month. How many tours do you have? And if they tell me, oh, I only had 20 people schedule a tour, or I had no tours, I'm like, well, something is not working there. That is drastically different.
Oh my God. And what would be one thing that makes, let's say, a floor plans page convert better?
I would say clarity over creativity. There was this one website that I had a tiff with, I'll say, previously that I had worked for. And oh my gosh, it frustrated me so much. It was a very cool design because it was in a very urban area, very young crowd. But I would get to this page and I would be so confused. I was routed and there's movement, there's a video, then there's this floor plan that pops up, and then you're clicking over here, and I would be so thrown off. I'm like, I just want to see, please just show me the widgets of these floor plans. I like having filters and everything, but don't make them pre-selected, by any means, or anything weird that the prospect has to click around a lot more. So just clarity. You can have some very simple filters to help people put them in the order, that makes sense for them. So it's not like a 1-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, a 4, a 2, make it make sense. So definitely clarity over creativity.
Okay, let's move into traffic sources. Which traffic sources usually perform best for properties? Easy one.
This is a good one. And one we actually talk about all the time is you've got kind of your three we'll go through is organic search, Google Business, and paid search. I mean, those are kind of your main three. Your organic, this is something we always talk about with like conversion rates with our teams. It's high intent, right? If I search Main Street Apartments because I want to live at Main Street Apartments and I click them organically, I had high intent. I knew that's the apartment name I wanted. I searched them, I clicked them, and that's how I'm getting there. So that's going to derive a lot on your, familiarity in a market. Well, we have a whole thing about SEO and organic on this channel, but that's going to be your high intent, your Google Business Profile traffic. We talk a lot about your GBPs and why those need to be up to date and accurate. A lot of times if somebody, even in like chat and AI now, I mean, a lot of times if you're searching for apartments with the best reviews, like this is where all of that is pulling from. And then obviously you're going to have your paid search and branded traffic. Like, so anything that you're putting into Google PPC, maybe, and then your ILS listings fall below that, but your paid search is definitely going to be up there in your top three, depending on how much you're spending in your market.
How do you tell if traffic is low quality?
Ooh, that's also a good one we talk about a lot. So I would say low quality if this is a few things you can watch as a marketer, like if they're not reaching the floor plans page, if they're not completing any key actions, and they don't spend any like time moving forward. So if you see that your engagement time is really, really low, or you see that you got a lot of new users, but not many conversions, that's going to tell me something's happening when they get there to the website. So maybe it's the wrong crowd is getting your types of ads or whatever it may be. But those are kind of some key metrics you can look at.
All right. And last one around traffic sources. If paid traffic is up, but conversions are flat, what's your first guess?
Yep, this is also talked about. I would say that the landing experience, like the landing page experience, didn't match the ad intent. So if you're using really key headlines to grab people's attention and pull them in, and it sounds really, really cool, and then they get to that landing page of wherever you're leading them, and they're like, oh, well, that's not what I thought. That's not what the ad said. That's not what I was looking for. That can be a major one. Or your conversion paths are broken or buried. Either they're not firing, so you don't know what's going on, or they're buried and like nobody can find how to schedule a tour. Nobody can find how to contact you. That would be the key things I would look for.
Well, that brings me into our last section, common tracking problems. What's the most common GA4 setup issue you see on property websites?
Yeah, missing or broken conversion tracking. So anything like calls, tours, applies, either they're not being tracked at all or they're tracked inconsistently. I think, and also making sure that your team understands that. I think that's one of the first questions we usually get is like, okay, what's a conversion? So like making sure that that's a conversion to them and or that like you're tracking what they consider conversions, that it's not broken. So definitely get in your Google tag or whoever you're setting up your tracking through and make sure you're testing them, that they're all firing, it's all working as it should. That's definitely going to be, what your clients and what your teams care about.
And what's a dead giveaway that your GA4 tracking is wrong?
Like applications just drop to 0 overnight, something happens, something crashes, or calls look unusually low compared to what they really are, or the conversions are not aligning with lease reports. They're telling you, oh, you have 765 conversions in the last month. And they're like, I got 20 applications. Like, you're like, something's not right.
Something's off with this one.
Something's firing too much. Yeah, something is not working. If it looks abnormal one way or the other to you, something's probably wrong there with the tracking.
Yeah. That's a good point. Good point. All right, so let's wrap this up with one final thing, Caroline. If someone remembers one thing from this entire GA4 episode, what is it you want them to remember?
I think the thing we're really driving home is it's not traffic that leases the apartments, it's the actions that do. So it's those calls, those tours, those applies, those forms. That is all the stuff that is actually going to get somebody in the door, get them to the application process.
Well said. Well said. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of the Multifamily Marketers Podcast. And don't forget, we are doing very comprehensive property website audits over at resident360.com. Just head over there, hit the contact form, fill out your name, and put website audit in the message field, and we'll get back to you and get a comprehensive audit going for your portfolio. With that said, Caroline, once again, it's been great. We will reconvene next week with another episode on the Multifamily Marketers Podcast. Take care, guys. Bye.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Bye.